close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me move. You can make me move. Can make make it last forever. Stop in time. Yeah, I'm surrendering. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you.
Hey everybody, welcome back again. Good evening all over. How is everyone? Hopefully you're not worse, right? Hopefully not. If anything, I hope you're doing a little bit better. So, hi. Hello. Hey, Eileen, Princess Megan. Good to see you. You like this song? Who sings it? Oh, which one? The first one? I'll have to go look. The second song that played, I know I gave you that one already. I don't remember, but I know I gave it to you. But the first one, I'll have to look up. The song has been in my head the last few days. Grocery store TV. I'm sorry. No, man. I had a song do that to me the other day, and I was trying to remember who. It was one of the creators' song. I don't know now which one, but yeah, it was one of them. Hey, Red Rock, good to see you. I know. You know it. Hey, Shauna. You can't hear the music too many times a day. Love it. You're back. Hello, everyone. Glad you're covering this. Such an important subgroup that does not get attention. It deserves unbelievable numbers. You're exactly right, Neil. 1,000%. You are right. Very true. Very, very true. Ella Begay, yes. Yeah. So, okay. I'm going to pop that back over one picture of her again. And as you see on here, it does say that it's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Person Awareness Day. Today, we stand with the members of the Indigenous community and show our support by wearing red in honor of all of the victims who are still missing and their families. And put her picture back up. So on the FBI, she's on the most wanted for kidnapping / missing persons. And her date of birth is September 28th, 1958. She had brown hair, brown eyes, 5 feet tall, 125 pounds. And the FBI is offering a reward up to $5,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the person or persons responsible for the disappearance of Ella Mae Begay. The details. On June 15th, which is wild, right? 2021, wild. Anybody that follows Summerwell's case. Ella Mae Begay was reported missing from her residence near Sweetwater, Arizona, by family members. Earlier that morning, her vehicle, a Ford F-150, was seen leaving the residence. It was believed that the truck may have been driven towards Sorrento, I don't know, New Mexico, and may have proceeded in the direction of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Ella Mae's vehicle was described as a 2005 Ford F-150, gray or silver in color, with a broken tailgate that could not close, with an Arizona license plate AFE 7101. And if you had any information, contact your local FBI office. And so figured I'd read that while I'm over here. Hi, lady R 2.0. How are you? Good to see you. Good evening. Good evening. And so I want to show you that I'm in the wrong area. All right. There we go. Let me grab and bring you over here. Okay. So, sorry I keep clearing my throat. I feel like if I get it one good clear, maybe I'll be done. Probably not. Okay. However, I do have a Dunkin' Donut drink. It's kind of nice. I really like that. Alrighty. So, What is Missing or Murdered Indigenous Persons Awareness Day, and why do we observe it? In 2021, President Joe Biden proclaimed May 5th to be Missing or Murdered Indigenous Person Awareness Day. The announcement followed years of efforts by advocates to create greater public awareness of violence against Native American people per the Choctaw. I'm going to say it wrong. Choctaw? I don't know. Nation. I'm sure you guys can see what it says. And so I just will stop making it worse by trying to say it. Quote, on Missing or Murdered Indigenous Persons Awareness Day, we remember the many lives shattered or lost and commit to working with Native communities to find justice, keep families safe, and help them heal, the White House said in a statement. Indian country has been gripped by an epidemic of missing or murdered Indigenous people whose cases far too often go unsolved. Families have been left investigating disappearances on their own, demanding justice for their loved ones and grieving pieces of their souls. Generations of activists and organizers have pushed for accountability, safety, and change. We need to respond with urgency and the resources needed to stop the violence and reverse the legacy of inequity and neglect that often drives it. In addition to awareness, advocates are fighting to bring justice to Native victims of violent crime and provide support to victims and their communities. The movement is also referred to by other names. And so you've got the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, which is the MMIW. Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, that's MMIWG. Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Relatives, that's MMIWR. Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit People, and that's MMIW2SP. And then I want to see, hold on, the numbers say, here. So the disappearance of Ashley Heavy Runner. So in 2019, The Guardian published an in-depth report on the disappearance of Ashley, who was last seen June 13th, 2017, on the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana. Upon returning to Missoula from a trip a week later, Kimberly was expecting a call from her 20-year-old sister. When that call never came, it wasn't immediately a cause for concern. Alarm bells sounded a few days later. However, when their father was unexpectedly admitted to the ICU and Ashley didn't show and couldn't be reached, according to the article, quote, a young woman vanishes and the police can't help. Her desperate family won't give up. So her sister sought help from tribal police. Quote, no one took it seriously, she told The Guardian. They just said, quote, she's of age, she can leave when she wants to. We hear that all too often, don't we? When we talk to other families whose girls went missing, they say that's what they got from law enforcement too. It's not a proper response. In the years since her sister's disappearance, she has taken charge of her sister's case. She quit her full-time job and moved back to her grandmother's house. And so there's a picture. And then it says, Kimberly took matters into her own hands, The Guardian reported. She trekked up and down the mountains looking for clues, calling Ashley's name, scrambling into rocky ravines, digging up fresh mounds of earth, analyzing bones, chasing off grizzly bears. She followed every lead, many of them, I don't know that word, but, or I do, but I'm going to say it wrong. I know I'm going to. I'm going to say it wrong. But horribly gruesome, right? And took every call, read every message, met anyone on the street who wanted to talk. Every day is a nightmare. We don't know what really happened to her. There's rumors about her being hurt and her body put places, being all cut up and scattered on the mountain. I don't know if this is here.
went missing almost 5 years ago. Named Jen Buckley, but you've probably seen her powerful images of Native women with red handprints on their faces. This Butte woman is bringing awareness to the problem of missing Native and Indigenous women.
There is a very large portion of Indigenous women that go missing, and also, you know, they're just not looked for the same way.
Buckley, who is Chippewa Cree, connected with this issue when Jermaine Charlo went missing almost 5 years ago. She said Native American women rarely receive national attention when they go missing the way young white women do.
For instance, Gabby Petito going missing, and I mean, we all want to look for everybody that's missing, but when Jermaine went missing, the same efforts were not given.
Buckley's photos have appeared on billboards around the state, like this one at Utah and Aluminum Streets in Butte, that call for awareness to missing Native and Indigenous women. She will host an event in front of the Butte Courthouse where she will invite the public to pour red sand in the cracks of the sidewalk.
To be able to represent all the Indigenous people that have fallen through the cracks in the criminal justice system.
The National Crime Information Center in 2016 noted there were 5,712 reports of missing American Indian and Alaska Native women and girls. The Bureau of Indian Affairs estimates that 4,200 cases of missing and murdered Native American women have gone unsolved.
All we want is that acknowledgement that there is the difference, and then how do we come together and bridge that gap?
The red sand ceremony in front of the Butte Courthouse will begin at 6 o'clock in the evening on Friday, May 5th. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Okay, and then I'm going to close that one and keep reading real quick. Okay. Let me also do one more thing. While I'm at it, I might as well. Going to change this. Or not. It hates my life. It's like, no, we're not going to. Okay. All right. So then it continues to say, that's why I searched for her. That's why oh, you guys, I'm sorry, but I love.
New at 5.
I love powwows. I don't care. I don't care. I love them so much. I always have. I got taken in one when I was a little girl. I think I've already told you guys that story, but I'll tell it again. I went into the bathroom after watching it, and well, there weren't any women in the one that I watched. It was all a bunch of men. I don't know, whatever. Either way, I thought it was super cool. Really, I thought it was super cool. And so I was in the bathroom trying to copy. I thought I nailed it personally. Came home, I was dancing it up. Anyway, whatever. I love it.
New at 5, raising awareness about missing and murdered Indigenous people.
Today, the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes gathered to educate those who may not know about this problem. They hosted their 3rd annual honor parade. KOCO's Abigail Ogle is in with us now. And Abby, leaders also pushing for legislation to help review or reopen some cases.
Guys, good evening. And that's right. Tribal leaders say events like this are so important to memorialize those who are still missing and get word out about how the state can prevent this from happening at the state level. You see a memorial tree honoring loved ones. They also held a healing red dress dance and a memorial name reading of nearly 40 names.
I'd like to say thank you to the Oklahoma State legislators, to the governor for passing those bills and signing those into law. So that's very important for the whole benefit of bringing awareness to the tribal people.
yeah, like he was mentioning, there has been attention on this at the state capitol. Ida's law was passed and signed by the governor. There are other bills in the works right now, too. Ida's law, by the way, gives OSBI, Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, federal dollars to investigate these crimes. It also helps families navigate their search for answers. We'll continue to follow the rest of these bills.
Okay, so pause this. Anyways, who is he talking about? There is a content creator, that goes by rap or goes by, general awareness. That's the way, at least how I even learned about him was, it was actually Queen Bee, mentioned him or showed him. But anyway, he was part of trying to help shut down, Dolly and all of them that were outside when Quentin Simon went missing. And, yep. General awareness. Anyway, yeah, he was like yelling into the blowhorn or whatever. I don't know what it is exactly, but anyway, he yells and, yeah. You thought he was trolling? No, it's okay. Yeah, well, because that's the thing. I heard that that he did pass, but then I heard that somebody was listening to him. I don't know. But that he, I guess, honestly, trigger warning. I guess, I don't know. I heard something about him drinking antifreeze. But then people were saying that that's not his first time, that he's actually done that multiple times. So I don't know. I left the conversation thinking he was alive. I don't know. I think they said that like blowhorn or something was talking about it. I don't know. Here. So I don't know. I mean, 20 hours ago he streamed, and 19 hours ago, and 18 hours ago, and hold on. Wow. That's awful. That's awful. I don't know, but the one at 18 hours ago, here. We'll come back. I'll put you right back up on this here in a second. Actually, let me take this part down too. Where am I? All right. He's not dead. I don't know if, well, I mean, listen, I still can't, okay, listen, I don't know if whatever rapist or whatever, if that's true, well, anyone that's been on here knows my opinion on people that are sex offenders, but it's the first time I ever heard anyone say that is you right now say that. But if somebody did in fact take their life, well, actually, I care a whole lot about suicide, whether it be, there's so many different aspects of that have involved and been around my life, and I've lost people to it. I've considered it for myself, and it's yeah. So, and then when you add in this, that if it has anything to do with online, it may not. Either way, right there, this is him saying that they put up, basically that he's threatening suicide again, and this person said he needs to be in a dang hospital, and this one said, hope that antifreeze ain't out of date so you can get the full effect, you sorry POS. And then drink up, bitch, and then light one up. Come on, you coward. Put yourself out of every woman's misery once and for all. You are no man. Either way, listen, like, the internet is disgusting. It's gross, the things that people say to people. Yeah, I agree, lady. I agree. That's disgusting. This is freaking gross. It's oh gosh, disgusting, wrong. I hate it. You're bullying, you're like calling him a coward, telling him to go ahead and do it, making jokes out of the whole thing. Like, no, nothing about it's funny. And it's not funny either if someone threatens it with the full knowledge that they're not going to do anything. That's not okay either. To keep threatening and throwing it around, and that's not okay either. But we see people take things just way too real life, and creators after creators, people that comment on creators' things and rip them apart and say the most horrendous things as if it's not a human being with feeling and emotion. And it's just too much. So, yeah, that's the only reason that I wanted to make sure that I do show you this, is because I think this is absolutely uncalled for and completely disgusting. This is gross. But again, I don't know nothing about whether he's a rapist. I don't know. Yeah, two wrongs don't make a right. 100% agree with you. Yep. Hey, Ramblin'. So anyway, this is actually why I did decide to come over here, is to actually talk about this. But hang on.
Did you text her or anything? Is that the first time you did that?
Okay, actually, so it sounds like the paramedics are with him. I just turned up my headset. I don't know what you all can hear. But I do hear them say, "Is this the first time you've done that?" And I heard him say yes, and then, or someone said yes, and then they said, "You drank antifreeze," and he said yes.
How old are you, buddy? 30?
He's talking about how much he drank or something. I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, if he was able to put this up, let's see. That says it was streamed. So, I don't know. I don't know how he, either way. I don't know. Good guy to bad guy, I suppose that's a matter of opinion. Yeah, see, I don't know. I just know that he's a creator. Yeah. It's bad, even if a little bit. Okay, that's fair though. That's completely fair, lady, because that's fair. That's completely fair, because I have Uni is someone that, like, I guess a lot of people liked or whatever. I didn't know of Uni other than what's been going on with, like, him saying he's got this really threatening letter and it's got Queen Bee's name in it, and then he's going back and forth and running in circles, not giving straight answers. Just like, oh, that I'm like, nah, nope. He was just trying to do a sub grab. That's it. That's all. He wanted attention. And I think that that's really disgusting that creators do stuff like that. I think it's gross. I don't operate like that, and I never will. So I, therefore, will never go and click ever. I will never give him a click. Unless it's a complete accident, but purposely? No, I won't. I won't. So, anyways, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know enough about him to say one way or another, to say because it's interesting that you actually brought up the one thing that you said is something that at that point, I would say rest in peace almost completely across the board. If he did pass, if he has, right? And leave it at that for now until I can learn more. But if he is a rapist, well, then I don't want them to rest in peace. Like, I think really poorly of people that do that. So anyway, sorry if everybody's confused and some don't really know what's going on, because I don't really know what's going on, but it's just kind of word on the street that this man, who is a content creator, committed suicide. And I only heard a glimmer of it earlier, but it was said that he had been online since or something, and people were talking about it, and he tried antifreeze again, not his first time, and that's where the discussion ended. So in my mind, I kind of went away with thinking, okay, I guess he survived. But I can't tell you definitive yes or no. I don't know. So we're just gonna, that's the best I can give everybody. I'm sorry. And I don't know enough about his content either to really say good or bad either way. So, okay. Back to where we were. What the numbers say. So Ashley Heavy Runner's case isn't unique. She's one of thousands of missing Native Americans. The biggest difference in her case is the level of publicity it has received, much of which is due to her sister's determination to find Ashley. This level of coverage, though rare, is key to bringing awareness to the missing and murdered Indigenous person movement, the driving force behind the designation of MMIP Awareness Day. And then National Congress of American Indians, the crisis of violence against Native communities must end. It's time to stand up for Native families and relatives who are constantly left behind. Visit niwrc.org for more info, resources, and to learn how to get involved. And Congress needs to enact laws like the Violence Against Women Act, which is VAWA, to restore the full authority of tribal nations to protect Indigenous women. This would return to tribal nations the authority to exercise sovereignty in their own court system to protect Indigenous women and families. Some states are creating task force like Minnesota's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women Task Force, which creates important allies for tribal nations within state governments. For those looking to get involved with the MMIW movement, raise awareness any way that you can in your own community and network. Start by learning about your state's prevalence rate for violence against Indigenous women and what local tribal nations, governments, and organizations are doing. Uplift and share the actions tribal nations are taking to address this issue and why it deserves immediate and ongoing attention. And I will open this up right quick, and then I'm going to actually give you it if you guys would want it, and then you'll have that link. Well, I could do one of two things, actually. I could simply do this, which is the site that they said to visit for more info. And so that's that site right there, or that link right there. And then I'm also going to give a link that was all of that, like if you would want those two that I just read from. So it'll just be a Twitter link. And then, okay, I will go back over here with you. So according to a National Congress of American Indians Policy Research Center report, 84.3% of American Indians and Alaskan Native women experience violence. That's stupid high, y'all. That is not even all right. Like, these numbers make me so sick and upset, and I get angry that so many people turn a blind eye to this epidemic that's happening. Like, this is really bad. Yeah. 56.1% have experienced sexual violence and 48.8% have been stalked. The 2016 National Institute of Justice report says Native women are also 10 times more likely to be a victim of murder than the general U.S. population. So, like, I would love for these other people to, throw on those pants, hike them up. Here you go. Try these pants on. See how you enjoy walking around, and you are 10 times more likely that you could be a murder victim. Like, how would that make you feel? Come on. According to an Interior Department report, community advocates describe the crisis as a legacy of generations of government policies of forest removal, land seizures, and violence inflicted on Native people or peoples. And individual efforts to bring awareness. And hold on, let me just take a look here. Oh man, this looks like dancing. I won't make you guys watch it if you don't want to, but I enjoy it. Okay, so here. Indigenous women and girls murdered 10 times higher than all other ethnicities. Murder is the third leading cause of death. More than 4 out of 5 Indigenous women experience violence. Indigenous women are 1.7 times more likely than Anglo-American women to experience violence. I guess I've never heard that before, but 94% had been raped or coerced in their lifetime. 42% attempted suicide at some point if they had been raped or coerced. 34% binge drank on a weekly or daily basis after they were initially attacked. Only 8% of cases of a rape victim's first attack ended in a conviction. That's bull too, right there. It's not right. 86% reported being affected by historical trauma. I believe that. Man, do I believe that. Is there a date on this bad boy? May 3rd. Elena, maybe? Is what I'm going to go with. She is 32 years old. Born in 1990. She has dark brown hair, but it was last known to be light brown. Her body is medium petite. She's 5'3", 130 pounds, with brown eyes. And distinguishing marks. So for tattoos, she has 4 stars behind her left ear. Adriana on her right wrist. And then she has scars on her upper left eyebrow, right index finger, permanently bent at the fingertip. Medical concerns: diagnosed with bipolar, depressive, and has seizures. And their tribal affiliation is Apache tribe of Oklahoma. Okay, so I could actually drop this whole link with you of what we just read as well. But I just want to go over just a little bit of that. I know that many have a little understanding. The sheer percents in these cases are amazing. Neil, is it not? They're staggering, like either direction, right? They're either really high or they're really low. I mean, there's very clearly a problem. And it's a problem that many more need to take serious and help, and just not. Okay, so then we have Let me open this one up right quick. And okay. Here is, take that off, take that off. Wow, we got all these commercially things on here. Okay. I'd rather open this like this. Perfect. Okay, so this here that I'm about to bring you over to, this is the Missing and Murdered Indigenous People March of 2023. And so Melissa Isaac speaks during the Missing and Murdered Indigenous People March at Anaboween? I'm not sure. Park in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And that occurred today. So let me bring you right over here with me. It's less than a minute. Did I drop that link? Because now I'm questioning myself. I don't think I did, right? I'm going to assume I didn't. So let me actually just take you off there. I don't remember if I did or not. But, hey, Earth, how are you? How you doing? Good evening. It's great to see you. All right. So that is the first one that we read. And then now I'm going to bring you over and watch this. It's 59 seconds. So you can kind of see what they did today, right? A little bit of what occurred today. And then also, then we're going to take a look a little more into, well, I don't know, into my memory because it sucks. Oh my gosh. I can't with my brain. Oh, okay. Hang on, I wanted to see what that said real quick. On the poster, the added letters and symbols do not appear. Oh, okay, I'll look at that. I want to look at that. And do I have you? Oh, no. All right. Ella May Begay is what I'm trying to spit out of my mouth, but my mouth was not doing it for me. You're good. Good to see you too. Just checking in on you before dinner. What are you having for dinner? What are you about to eat? Hey, Allie, were you the one that had pork chops, right? How'd they turn out?
We're here to bring awareness for people who still don't know, because we continue to be invisible for a lot of reasons. We're here to march in solidarity for our lost loved ones and the people that carry the grief of not knowing where their loved ones are, or knowing that they're gone and made their journey to the spirit world. We're here to share stories. We're here to share resources, as you can see under the canopies here, a lot of resources to help us through our trauma, our grief, and the things that we're going through with this epidemic. We're here to ground ourselves in ceremony. As you've just heard the singing, you saw the dancing, you see the eagle feathers, you smell the sage, our mushkadewash. And again, we're just here to share and be in solidarity together in a good way for our relatives.
And I would assume there's probably longer I could find, probably a little bit more of that. But if you'd want me to look. Chicken stop yum, chicken bacon ranch subs. I love that. That sounds really good. It's windy there. I didn't realize that they were in the States. I thought it was mostly Canada, and I thought that they were closed down. Oh, really? Wow. That they cannot control their own, right? Yep. Okay, so ready? So last year, the nation's first alert system for the missing Indigenous people it started last year in Washington State, and I covered that. Let you guys know. since then, they're not the only ones now. I know for sure, Colorado. And I don't dare say anything else because I don't want to be wrong. I feel like something, but I don't want. I would want to look first before I say. I just want to make sure I give right information. So, but so ultimately, it was done to address the crisis of unsolved cases, and so it started up in last July. As of this week, authorities have issued 56 alerts total, and most of them have been found safe. 2 of them were found deceased, and then 6 people have not yet been located. But guess what? Guess what? If they didn't have this alert system in place, you know what we can count on? Those numbers wouldn't be like that. I could tell you right now. So what, 6, 8, so that's math, let's do it. 48? 48. So they had 56 go missing. 48 of them were found. I'm going to go with it would be 10 or under would have been found if it weren't for, I don't know. I don't know. I can't say anything for certain, of course, obviously. But I'm so happy that they began that. I agree. Who has the authority to shut those schools? Are you talking about why? See, again, words. My brain is like, ugh. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, I had residential schooling is what I'm trying to say, I think. If that's what you're talking about, wow. I can't even get into that whole thing, that whole situation. And yes, they had them government run. That's what you're talking about? Yeah, the residential schooling. Okay. Yeah. Ooh, boy. It's a disgrace, that right there. Run by the government, but led by the Catholic religion, right? And so it ultimately stripped all of the native out of the individual and then gave them, instead, they wanted them to be modern. They wanted them to speak English. They wanted them to no longer have their belief in their own religions. No, out the window, gone. However, I mean, everything. They stripped every single piece of native right out of them. And it's disgusting. Even the families say that they didn't get the child. They were stealing children. They would snatch them right up out of a field off the side of the road and take them away. And either way, it's really horrific. They were abused horribly, mentally, emotionally, and physically abused to the point that a couple of years back now, they ended up finding all of those little babies, all of those stinking children buried. What? Are you kidding me? And it's awful. It's stinking awful. Think about the parents. These children got stripped of everything that they've known, even to the point I listened to someone that went to one, and they weren't even allowed to have association with their sibling that was also there. They were not to speak to one another. They weren't to do it. And unfortunately, they're so traumatized because when they found out a couple years back that people had died and then buried, and they simply told the parents, if say the parent came for a visit, child ran away. Your kid ran away. Yeah, I don't know. They ran away. So you've got these people growing old, parents growing old without their children anymore, thinking that the child ran away, and then learning, in fact, that actually they probably likely have lost their life at the hands of these horrific things that they were doing to them. You would see, but anyway, back to what I was just saying. I watched a video of somebody that was a student in a residential school, and she said plenty of times when somebody would get in trouble, they'd call them up and take them out of the classroom. And most of the time, some of the time, they'd return back. But they said that they remember some of them didn't come back into the classroom. And they were also under the impression that they ran away. And what a freaking disgrace. But anyway, yeah. Yep, it was not just Canada. We absolutely did it here in America as well. It's shameful, honestly. It really is. This topic can get me so disgusted with. It's awful. It's freaking awful. It's awful. I mean, one of the last discussions my oldest brother and I had was over basically kind of like this topic. And he, I think I've mentioned this to you before, though. He tried to get mouthy over, basically in New York State, there is there are some Indigenous that have a deal with the state that they're able to put their businesses or casino type but business on, and they have a certain amount of counties around from the center point and then the surrounding counties, right? But a certain amount of them, I can't tell you right now exactly how many, 10 maybe, or anyway, and the agreement is with the state that they can use that land, they can build, they can have their casino, and then a portion of what the casino makes, they give New York State. They pay New York State a percentage. They have a deal. I'd have to look it up again to get my numbers right with you. But either way, and I think I'm good with it. Well, my brother was not good with it. He tried saying to me, do you realize that those very individuals you're trying to defend right now could literally take our land from us, take us right up off all our land, whatever. And I go, that's the difference between you and I. It was their land. They're not taking it from us. I was like, good, gladly. I'd gladly give it to them. No struggles, no questions. And he didn't like that because obviously we've been on it for hundreds of years. Well, that don't mean nothing to me because I just think it's disgusting what's occurred in the country, and I think it's awful. So anyway, he tried getting upset about it, and he's gonna lose his land, and the farming that obviously my family did, and whatever. And either way, I said to him, I go, do you see how emotional you are? You see how you feel right now? Because clearly this bothers you. I was like, you just said it could be taken from you. Makes you upset, right? I go, now just imagine that every single one of our family members that have passed away are also on the land. And now imagine that somebody comes in and takes this land. Like, just imagine that. I go, and it take away your, and so I tried to explain it a little further. And he didn't have anything to say to that. But either way, yes, we did end up in an argument. He obviously did not agree with me. It is what it is. And then I made a statement, and I don't feel this way. Like, obviously, I don't think that all men are like awful or what. You know what I mean? I clearly don't think that. I'm not like some man-hating woman. I'm really not. However, I do recognize that it's those that have the rich white men. They're in the prime position, prime spot. They got the lead. That's it. That's all. They are the top. And then you would go to not as rich white, not as wealthy white men, right? But it's true. The man, obviously, over a woman. So white is white, but the man has that power and authority. And anyway, yeah, it just made me so upset. And when I listened to my brother, I'm like, you are literally depicting, you are exactly what I'm mad at. You're exactly what I'm mad at right now. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me very upset. And I have a strong opinion about it. And whatever, you know? I'm not against our government either. Not at all. I just see through the bullshit. Right. Why is her brother worried about casino owners? Because New York State, well, he's not worried about like all casino owners, right? But New York State has an agreement that with natives that they have the right to build on the land on a certain amount of counties around the area. And so if they decide they want that land right there in that county and they're going to put a casino there, that's the way that it's going to be. That's the agreement. And so what my brother was trying to say is that they could take us right up off our land and build a casino there. And I was good with it. I was like, perfect, good, they should. He was not good with that. He wanted to be all, it's his land. And I'm like, nah, actually, no, actually, it was theirs. It's why the agreement is even there. But anyway, yeah. And it's so then with the agreement, they pay a like 2% or 2% up us a percent to New York State. If the natives could take their land back, they would have, in my opinion. I think that we need to put this into perspective. Indigenous people of old never thought they owned the land. The Great Spirit owned the land. Europeans introduced land ownership to them, right? Yeah. Casino owners are the ones in cahoots with the white man. Oh, I know it. Right? Yes. They are the businessmen of the natives. They are masters of the indigenous, to explain it plainly. Yeah. And then that does kind of fall in line with it was said on one of my streams actually that they think that why there's so many missing women, indigenous women. They think that they're a part of the system. They think that they are also involved with like trafficking and that they're doing it to themselves. That the indigenous men, the native men, are taking their own and giving them to the white man. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Oh boy. It really is. Okay, I'm gonna read. Ready? Did I need to read this part? I'm not even who answers calls from relatives when an indigenous person goes missing? It says the alert system has streamlined the case response and highlighted their urgency. Before it was launched, investigators, along with advocacy groups and relatives, would work to gather information to create and distribute a poster, but it would take 8 to 10 hours to do so. Now it takes 10 minutes to hit the East Coast and come back, so it's freed up a lot of time to help other families, which is incredible. The alert is similar to the Amber and Silver alerts, and it can be activated when an indigenous person is missing due to unexplained, involuntary, or suspicious circumstances, and or is believed to be in danger because of age, health, adverse weather, or other circumstances, and is believed to be unable to return to safety without assistance. And that's for the Washington State Patrol, what they say. And the spokesperson said that alerts have been issued for a wide range of cases, from teenage runaways to people who have been abducted or taken for criminal activities such as human trafficking. While it's difficult to confirm whether an alert has a direct impact on most cases, he says that it has saved lives. And a young woman who was abducted was left on the side of the road more than 100 miles away from the home after the person who took her saw that an alert was issued, they say. They declined to discuss more details about the incident to protect the woman's privacy. Quote, if you are a victim, it sends a message of, hey, we're looking for you. We're not going to give up. And if you're a perpetrator, it says, hey, we're looking for you. Love it. The focus on the crisis of missing Indigenous persons in the state and its efforts are expanding. A new cold case unit to investigate violent crime is expected to be created within the state attorney general's office. Signed a legislation into law last month. Hello, that's good. I love that. Okay, that's really good to hear. Wow. Okay. As of Monday, there were 142 Native Americans missing in Washington state, according to Washington State Patrol. Native Americans comprise nearly 2% of the state's population. And 2018 report of the Urban Indian Health Institute shows that Washington was among the states with the highest number of cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And then what we talked about earlier, Biden and state officials are joining the call to action. Meanwhile, data from the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System shows there were 793 unsolved cases of missing Native American people as of December 2022. Yep. And then today. Is today still today? Yep. Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Awareness Day. Called on the nation to respond with, quote, the resources needed to stop the violence and reverse the legacy of inequity and neglect that often drives it. Aha, that was the other state right there. At the state level, California was the other state I was trying to remember earlier, and Colorado have launched their own alert system to assist in search efforts for an Indigenous person who has been reported missing. Yep. Yeah, Colorado is the one that is actually the reason I was well alert that today was the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Person Awareness Day, because I follow the CBI, and they've been issuing for the past this whole week. They've been putting out one at a time somebody that's missing. Okay, ready, set. Man, I don't know how well my mic works or doesn't. I don't know, but man, my stomach is like, it's growling, but it's going, meow. I don't know, it's like making a noise. I don't know, I can't explain it. It's done it about 4 times now. It's really weird. Okay, I'm going to bring you over to this one, and we're going to actually watch this in specific. We have covered Ella's case before. And there was actually an update that had come out on her case that I never got to cover. So I'm hoping that it's going to definitely be spoken on. If it isn't, it should be. But if it isn't, I will tell you after. Oh, man, what am I doing? Okay. Let's go there. Yay, awesome. Only voice, no tummy talk heard. Yay. Yes, it is. It did sound like my belly meowed. It did. It really did. It was the weirdest. I was like, what are you doing? Like, what's that? Trying to talk back to my cat or something for me. Like, what the heck? It was so weird. I'm like, that was strange. And I know for a fact it's my belly because I actually had my left hand up on my, like, the side of my hip, even though I'm sitting. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway. And I actually could feel it. I could, like, feel. And then I was like, did it just meow? Weird.
I'm Marty.
Hey, Jennifer. Good evening. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Oh, thank you. Thanks. We can't hear it, but you definitely mad. I was trying to make it sound kind of like make it sound like my belly. It is kind of a meowy sound. It's weird. There's another like a siren, like a meow, like I don't know. It's a mix between a cat and a siren. I don't know.
Hughes in Chicago, and welcome to our ongoing missing series here at News Nation. We are focusing this morning on the disappearance of a Navajo elder whose case sparked a national outcry about the high number of missing and murdered Indigenous people, and also the lack of attention often paid to these cases. In a moment, an attorney working pro bono on these types of cases will be joining us as part of our live discussion today. And if you have any questions, I always welcome you to join in this ongoing conversation and be part of it. A comment's welcome as well. This week's case centers around a mother and a grandmother from Arizona. Her name is Ella Mae Begay. She was 62 years old when she disappeared in the middle of the night. That was on June 15th, 2021. In an effort to get help with the search efforts, her niece walked all the way from Arizona to Washington, D.C. 2 years later, her family still has not been able to bring Ella Mae home. Last month, there was a development, and they were able to address the man accused of hurting her aunt inside a federal courtroom.
Hold on, I'm trying to get my... Do you remember her? We covered her as well. So we covered Ella's case, and then yeah, and then I was showing you actually is my brain, I just Ramblin'. I'm assuming Ramblin' is not here anymore, or she fell asleep or something maybe. Yeah, it's been a bit since she's commented. Wait, did she comment on this stream? Now I'm even second guessing if she even came to this one. Maybe I only saw her earlier. Don't even remember. Well, anyway, Ramblin' met up with this woman that's on the screen. And she got to meet with her. You know her personally? Yeah? Okay, so yeah, I talked about her journey that she was taking, and followed as she kind of checked in at different areas, and you know, and obviously what her purpose was, what she was doing. And I just think it's incredible. I think it's so absolutely incredible what she did. And then on top of it, she was always putting out a new case and putting it out for everyone. Here's a new case of a missing. Here's a new case of a missing. And she's incredible. This woman here is incredible. I think a whole lot of her. And yeah. But anyway, Ramblin' sent me the photo when they met up. They took a picture together, and yeah. Okay, sorry. I'll be quiet now.
Courtroom.
Put us through pain a year and 10 months. Just tell us where my aunt is.
The niece of Ella Mae Begay, with an anguished plea to 23-year-old Preston Tolf, charged with assault and carjacking in connection with her aunt's disappearance. For generations, the Navajo grandmother was renowned for her distinct style of native woven rugs, sold far and wide on the internet.
They call it a pictorial rug, which is like a picture. You know, she had that in her head, and, you know, she put that into the rugs.
Begay lived alone in this isolated ranch on the Navajo reservation in Arizona. On June 15, 2021, her prized Ford F-150 was seen leaving her house at 2:30 in the morning. Her niece, angry, because she says police didn't immediately call it a kidnapping.
She was 62 years old. What 62-year-old drives off at that time of night and not nobody be concerned?
My mom is a really cautious person. She doesn't just up and leave in the middle of the night. She was afraid to drive after dark.
After days of searching, Navajo police announced a person of interest, Preston Tolf, had been located in New Mexico, and they transitioned the case to a foul play investigation.
Despite the transition, The Navajo Police Department and our associated partners through the Navajo Division of Public Safety and associated law enforcement programs remain committed to an outcome of resolution for the family of LMA Begay.
But Begay's family couldn't help noticing the stark contrast to another case getting national attention at the time.
This was an extensive search, 25 FBI agents.
Hundreds of investigators searching multiple states for Gabby Petito, and the media reporting every development while they searched alone.
We don't have detectives. We don't have a special task force. We don't have the resources. We don't have the money for it.
Frustrated, Seraphine Warren started walking to clear her mind and raise awareness.
When this happened, I just wanted my aunt back. So when I did this walk, it was to get help, resources.
Marking the one-year anniversary of Ella Mae's disappearance, Warren set out walking all the way to Washington, D.C.
Kentucky into West Virginia is where I'm going. I have 2 more miles left to go.
Along the way, greeted by supporters and other families of missing or murdered loved ones, adding ribbon after ribbon with names to her prayer staff. In D.C., she was invited to meet with the Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, the first Native American cabinet member who has pushed to reduce violence against Native women. But even that meeting left Warren feeling deflated.
I don't know what's going to happen. Didn't really promise me anything.
Then 2 months ago, a surprise. Federal prosecutors charged Preston Tolth with carjacking and assault resulting in serious bodily harm, saying he admitted to taking Ella Mae's truck and striking her in the face multiple times.
This walk that I did really did do something then, because or else nothing would have been done.
The U.S. Attorney's Office promising new efforts to solve cases involving missing and murdered Indigenous people.
The department, as well as other districts within Indian country, recognize this as a significant issue and are putting resources and time and attention to solving it.
Now, as Begay's family awaits the trial and hopes they eventually get answers to bring Ella Mae home, Seraphine feels her presence everywhere.
I keep seeing the same bird, and it's the color of her hair. And it makes me feel better to know what she's telling me, keep doing it, like you're in the right direction.
Continue the pursuit of answers, and for many of these families, the hope of closure. Joining me now is Darlene Gomez. She's a Native American attorney who works pro bono to help families like Ella Mae's keep the pressure on law enforcement in so many of these cases. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. Why was it important for you to get involved with Ella Mae's disappearance and case and some others that you're working as well?
So my journey on the MMIWR field has been a long time coming. One of my childhood friends went missing on St. Patrick's Day in 2001. Her name is Melissa Ann Montoya, and she is from the Hickory Apache Nation, and she is still missing today.
And why are so many of these cases, Darlene, going unsolved for so long? Where does the problem start?
You know, there's just numerous systematic issues. One of them has to do with jurisdiction. One has to do with the lack of funding, both for federal law enforcement officers, tribal law enforcement officers, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs officers. You also have lack of training. You have lack of resources as far as individual Native American tribes that don't have their own 911 system. You have large areas where you cannot receive cell service. The radios that law enforcement uses oftentimes are not able to work. And then if you look at most agencies that work in Indian country, they're staffed at about 25%. And when you look at, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
If you look at FBI agents who work Indian country is considered a hardship. So you have a lot of young FBI agents. You have FBI agents who have never worked with Native Americans or Alaskan Natives. So it's very difficult for the community to have trust and to bond with them. And really, we are not seeing any community policing efforts with the FBI and even the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
So ultimately, I want to understand sort of the challenge here is when someone, and in many cases, it's young women that go missing. In Ella Mae's case, as she is an elder, there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of red tape, there's almost too many organizations and jurisdiction issues that involve the challenges and the complexity of it.
That's correct. And you also have to remember that, say, the Navajo Nation, their reservation is over 1 million acres. Sometimes you may only have 5 officers on duty, and there's 7 regions on that Navajo Nation. So you may be waiting 2, 3, 4, or 5 days for a police officer to answer your call. And because of the remoteness of the actual police stations on the reservation, oftentimes nobody is manning them. So to actually get a person who's going to take a report, that can be tremendously hard to do.
Right. And that was a lot of the frustration in Ella Mae's case. Her family early on said there wasn't enough attention or urgency paid to her case. Let's talk specifically about what happened to her. It's been 2 years. At what point did you get involved with the family, and what did the evidence show? And Tolth, who is now behind bars facing trial in her death, what's the status of that proceeding?
So I started working with the family in September of 2021 when I met Seraphine at a rally I was having for another murdered missing Indigenous woman by the name of Pepita Redhair. And so even at that 3-month mark, the FBI and Navajo Nation criminal investigators had named Preston Tolth a person of interest. So at that time, the FBI was working that case.
Is there any doubt in Ella Mae's family's minds that she was killed?
At this point, I know that they were holding out hope that because her body had not been found, that maybe she was out there and she was alive. But after Preston Tolth appeared in federal court, they know that she is no longer in this world.
And now they want to be able to bring her home, find her remains. What is the status of searches on the reservation? Are they still happening?
We have met with the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office through a phone call, and the FBI has made their commitment to start a new search sometime in the upcoming weeks and trying to use more agencies to help search for Ella Mae's body. One of the concerns that the FBI did have is that they don't have any credible places where they believe Preston Tolth has told them the truth of where her body is.
And this is also a very large area, so the possibilities are endless.
Correct. And I think what they're starting to plan on is a very specific search near Ella Mae's home and kind of searching off roadways into arroyos.
Do they have cooperation, the FBI, with those on the reservation to do a search like that? Is that complicated?
It's very complicated because of all the jurisdictional issues. The FBI has stated that they are able and willing and would like to work with the Navajo Nation Police Department, with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So it's our hope that they will be able to work together to do a search.
You brought up, Darlene, MMIWR, which is the Missing Murdered Indigenous Women and Relatives Task Force. I know New Mexico has one. Other states have one as well. What has that done to help provide families like Ella Mae's the resources they need to search in these cases?
Well, although we have these murdered missing Indigenous women and relative task force, because they're fairly new in the bureaucracy of getting bills passed in the legislature and the lack of funding, we're still seeing that families are having a very hard time getting any money to help for searches, because the state also does not have search teams. So we're seeing individual tribal members and other people from the community who are trying to start their own search teams.
Right. And part of what you do pro bono is guide the families through this process. Talk to me about what you tell them and what advice you give them at the beginning of what can be a very long and frustrating journey.
I try to offer them support. I try to mentor them in being a voice for their loved one. And that allows them to be able to feel like they are in control of their cases. And it's really about having rallies and letting the families meet other family members of murdered and missing loved ones. And they have really grouped together. So every time there's a rally, those families get together. I also really tell them how they need to keep very detailed records. And I just have something in front of me that I ask the families to keep every person that they talk to, everyone, every date, what they provided to the police, and this is their tool. And so when we meet with law enforcement and tell them that we've already told the story, or I spoke with a detective from this agency and they told me this, it's really trying to keep a record of what has been told.
And I recognize the media plays a major role in this case and so many others. So you train people on how to reach out to the media, how to work with the media to get the case highlighted.
Correct. So what I do is I will sit with a family and I will actually take videos of them and I will teach them to try to do, 10-minute clips of what they want the media to know, all the way up to 1-minute clips. And also getting families ready to talk to the media, because oftentimes English is not their first language. So it can be difficult to go from, say, Navajo to English. And it's really a support system. And I really try to raise money for these families, because oftentimes the cost of searching for their loved ones and printing brochures and trying to make posters, they have to make the choice whether to eat sometimes or to pay their rent. And no family member should have to do that, because everybody deserves equal justice. And I don't see that when it comes to Native American women and relatives.
I couldn't agree with you more, Darlene, and I hear the emotion in your voice, which is why you got involved. It's also why we started our Missing series, was recognizing that some cases get covered more than others, and every missing person matters. LMA matters, and every single other person that we cover. In addition to the media training, which is so critical, I think it's also important to talk about the access to the internet. And on many reservations, Native Americans, like LMA, may not have access to the internet, or their families might not have access to incorporate the social media army, as I call it, in trying to get the case out there. How do you address that component?
So my law firm has a TikTok page. It's under Dar Gomez Law. And we will put every family's member's case on our TikTok. And some of those views get 1 million views. And that has led to actually finding one of our loved ones who went missing. And so it's a tremendous source of being able to identify different areas of reservations, cities, and towns, because we also have to remember Native Americans go missing from urban areas as well.
And on reservations and in urban areas, the numbers really reveal that Native American women, especially, and girls are the victims of violence, of murder. They go missing. What do some of those numbers nationally show us? What research and data do we have that indicates this is an epidemic?
Well, Native women are 10 times more likely to be murdered than their white counterparts. 1 in 2 Native American women will be a victim of sexual assault. About 58% of women, Native American women, have suffered a violent crime, a violent assault on them. And those are just what is reported. And there's a lot of underreporting. So in the DOJ database, sometimes those numbers aren't correct either. There could be 5,800 reports that are put in that database, but really the numbers, I think, far exceed that. And we're looking at probably 15,000 or so. And then the number of actual missing and unidentified people in that system is very low, because if you look at New Mexico, the FBI has just started conducting a list that they put out every month of Navajo and Native American men and women who go missing from New Mexico. And I think the last month it was 168 individuals.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the one that I was thinking about when earlier I said that I knew the alert system was in Washington and Colorado. The other state I was thinking about was New Mexico, but I couldn't remember if it was an actual alert system or if it was just a list of those that are missing. And I'm glad I didn't say it because it ended up being California that has the alert system, not New Mexico. But New Mexico does have the list now, and it's good. I was really happy about it. The only downfall is there's like no info, like nothing, and there's no photo, and that makes it really hard. It really does. Honestly, what are people supposed to do whenever they walk past somebody that they're like, oh, I think that person might be Native right there. That could be Indigenous, right? Maybe I should call 911. Like, you're not, you know what I mean? It's very hard. Say you got a missing blonde woman. There's lots of them, so picture it is really, really, really can help a whole lot.
And that's only in one state.
Yeah, I think the first step, Darlene, is recognizing there's an issue, and then we need action. So first of all, what legal tools are at the disposal for these families, if any? You're doing it pro bono, but how much more in terms of resources do people need, and where can they turn?
So unfortunately, I'm one of very few attorneys who do this work pro bono. And I just wanted to clarify, I practice Indian law. I am not Native American. I grew up, my family homesteaded the Hickory Apache Indian Reservation in 1876 before it was a reservation. So I've always grown up, and my community is about 95% Native American. But there's virtually no tools, because you have to remember that when a person goes missing, they're not eligible for any crime victim funds. And technically, it's not even a crime. So detectives and police officers just merely follow it as a missing person. And I think that's a huge problem. And we have to identify policies that need to be created for police departments. And I'd like to kind of tell you a little bit about two white women who went missing from New Mexico March of this year. They were from Ohio, and they went missing in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. The police department in Ohio did extensive searches, so did the police department in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. They had a lot of resources. The national media got a hold of this case. Why can't we get that for our Native women? And it's week after week that these women go missing, and so do their brothers and their two-spirit counterpart. And we can't even get someone who's going to take a report in a timely manner without victim blaming.
So what obligation do you see at the state and also the federal level, Darlene, to get involved? Are you optimistic that you're going to see some change now? The Interior Secretary is a Native American woman who says, this is a problem, I'm going to help.
Unfortunately, I do believe that the policies that have been put in place by the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Holland, are a starting point. But my families and the families I work with are not seeing any kind of immediate justice from it. And that goes to the Murdered and Missing Unit that was created under the Bureau of Indian Affairs. To date, I don't know any cases that have been solved through that. There's no data that has been released. I know that some of the cases I represent are on that Murdered and Missing Unit from the BIA, but the families have only spoken to BIA officers once or twice.
Darlene, my guess is, I know we have a lot of people watching online right now, and I hope this gets shared so that thousands more people are able to see it. If there's anyone watching who finds themselves trapped in a situation where they're up against a wall and not getting information, support, and help that they need to find their missing loved one, if they are a missing Indigenous person, where do they start? How do they reach you? What would be your message?
My message would be is that going back to what you had asked about the trust responsibility of the federal government. The federal government owes Native American people who live on reservations, they have a trust responsibility through the FBI to investigate cases of murder. Any major crimes act, those cases need to be reviewed by the FBI. But I think that because each tribal nation is sovereign, that the power of those governors and those presidents and those chairmen and the National Congress of American Indians, they can band together and they can demand that they get the resources necessary to man their Bureau of Indian Affairs criminal investigators, that the FBI provide adequate training and adequate police officers and FBI agents to serve the reservations. And I think that if we see swift justice, that we will have the community answering more questions and giving more feedback when it comes to crime. Because if you're on your reservation and you know hardly anyone gets arrested for murders, then you're a sitting duck. If you tell someone what you saw or what happened, you could potentially be the next MMIWR victim. And until that changes, this is going to continue to occur. We could be here 10 years from now, 20 years from now. If our leaders do not demand a change, this is going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just sad.
It's a tragic cycle. Darlene, I appreciate so greatly that you are helping us shine a light on this, that we're having this conversation. I'd like to have more of them with you, and I'd like to cover more of these cases. So we're very appreciative to partner with you, not only on Ella May's case, but I'd like to hear more at some point about your friend who went missing years ago. I'm out of time, but tell me her name again, your friend from the early 2000s who disappeared.
Yes. Her name is Melissa Ann Montoya. She went missing from the Hickory Apache Nation on St. Patrick's Day of 2001. And that town is Dulce, New Mexico. It's on the Colorado border in northwest New Mexico.
Darlene Gomez, thank you for the work you're doing. Once again, thank you for being part of this discussion. To those online, we appreciate, as always, that you've tuned in. Please share this discussion on your social media pages so we can continue to highlight Ella May's case and so many others that are getting ignored. And if you have a missing persons case you think that we should be covering, send it to us at newsnationnow.com/missing. You can send us tips through our News Nation app as well. I'm Marnie Hughes in Chicago. As always, thank you for being part of our continued missing series, paying attention to these cases. Every missing person matters. I'll see you back here next week.
Okay, and then I'm going to bring you over here. Also, I was just looking up. I found something in regards to Lucas. If anybody that's in here has been following the missing little boy Lucas that we've been talking about, and I don't know, but weirdly they were talking about something about a car that had been seen, two strange vehicles. They didn't think anything of it at the time, but now it is strange and like weird stuff. Anyway, and then somebody posted a picture that apparently the person's trying to sell the car the day that he went missing. I don't know, some weird stuff going on with that case. Let me tell you, real weird. Well, now part of that post looked like it got deleted. Maybe, I'm not sure, and the talks that are going on are just really weird. I don't know. I don't quite know what's happening, but like they're talking about in the comment section. Now they're onto the sister, right? They're saying that the sister is contradicting herself. I don't know, but I am going to play this for you. This is in regards to Native Americans targeted in trafficking and healthcare schemes. And we had touched on some, well, I did an upload with just different pieces of info. And one of them was about some weird, in regards to people that have an addiction to something, and they tell them that they're going to take them to a place and we'll help you and we're going to get you clean and yada, yada, yada. And they pick them up with like a van. And anyway, as they're driving right along, they aren't actually taking them to get help. They're kidnapping them. And one of the people ended up getting told to get out of the vehicle, kicked out onto the road. And I had to come get picked up by family, but of course she had no phone. She didn't have anything, you know. But very dangerous, very, very dangerous. Okay, so I'm gonna play this for us.
Tonight on Fox 10 Investigates, it's a scheme involving human trafficking and healthcare fraud. The FBI says Native Americans are being targeted and taken advantage of.
For months, we've been tracking how this all works. Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum joins us live with part one of his series.
Well, John, Christina, Native Americans are 500% more likely to experience alcohol-induced deaths and 20% more likely to die from drug use, according to a 2021 report by Arizona's Department of Health Services. Now they're being recruited from multiple reservations in our state, New Mexico and South Dakota, by behavioral group homes and sober living homes. Organizers pitching services to the most vulnerable. But what happens when the services promised are never provided?
You don't live here, you're trespassing, so where do you live?
Yeah, we'll go.
Are you okay? Yeah. You are? Okay, because you can barely stand, and I saw you laying there on the porch.
I need help.
Because this is not the first time we find you passed out.
Let me drive you around. Please.
What you just saw is happening in a community of beautiful new homes located in Phoenix near 91st Ave and Indian School, 5 minutes from State Farm Stadium.
It's just unbelievable.
Residents who are fed up want to remain anonymous.
This neighborhood has been living a nightmare for the last year.
Cindy and Monica tell me dozens of behavioral group homes have popped up in the neighborhood. Since then, they say it's normal to see people passed out in driveways and porch fronts.
I think it's really blown up in 2022. It's just become the new fraud scheme.
Special Agent Antoinette Ferrari explains to me how this scheme works. A group home or sober living home is set up by either purchasing or renting a house. The services offered are for substance abuse or mental health issues. Organizers target Native Americans from several Indian reservations. These individuals may be intoxicated and will likely be offered alcohol while transported to the home. Organizers receive government funding through the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System, or ACCESS, capitalizing on Arizona Medicaid benefits belonging to members. Tenants are also told to give up their food stamps to provide food for the home or as rent payment. In order for group homes to get paid directly through ACCESS, that requires licensing with the Department of Health. The FBI believes licensed facilities are also paying unlicensed individuals to recruit patients.
Well, for example, if I opened a legitimate facility and then I asked you to bring patients to me, I could pay you to bring those patients to me, but that's kickback and that's illegal and that's healthcare fraud.
Where the root of the kickback money comes from exactly is part of the FBI's investigation. Ferrari believes the bad actors aren't providing the therapy services they're supposed to, yet millions of dollars are being paid out through healthcare funding.
This happened I must have been around 7 at night.
Last September, Phoenix police investigated a death in the neighborhood.
As a neighbor was walking her dog, she basically saw a body laying there in between two unlicensed group homes.
Police say 44-year-old Carson Leslie fell asleep in the back of a car, choking on his own vomit. According to the medical examiner's office, Leslie's death was an accident and the cause was chronic alcohol abuse. The toxicology report reveals his blood alcohol content was 0.541, nearly 7 times the legal limit. The autopsy report says he was in Flagstaff and approached a vehicle belonging to Victoria Group Home, LLC. The Department of Health says Victoria Group Home is not licensed with the state.
These are supposed to be sober homes. They should be sober, but they're not. So they're not managing them. They're letting them out. They're getting drunk, and then they come back into the neighborhood don't realize they're at the wrong house at 2 or 3 a.m. trying to break in.
Residents here have taken pictures of large unmarked vans they say Indigenous people are transported in. The FBI says all kinds of vehicles are involved, staking out locations like flea markets, trading posts, and the Phoenix Indian Medical Center.
These recruiters are getting paid per patient, sometimes per van load, per car load. So they're going to get as many patients as they can, as many clients as they can.
And that idea scares residents like Cindy and Monica.
My biggest fear is that because some of these are for mental as well as drugs. We have family, children that they will try to break into our house and somehow, attack us.
So we reached out to Access multiple times in hopes to get officials on camera for an interview about what's going on. A spokesperson declined, but released a statement saying in part, since January 2022, the Access Office of the Inspector General has terminated 87 providers suspected in these targeting activities and has instituted several provider payment suspensions. In addition, Access has allocated additional resources for quality management oversight and is conducting on-site facility reviews to ensure member health and safety.
People are not going to like this when they think their tax dollars are being squandered by charlatans out there taking advantage. Are they recruiting on the reservation to find people?
It's now branched out from the reservations, as we're learning, to all over the valley. As you saw, the Phoenix Indian Medical Center, flea markets, and things like that. And it may not just be Native American people. As you'll see in part 2, homeless people can also be recruited because we're talking about shelter, food, a nice neighborhood, and there's obviously intoxication, this type of behavior going on.
That's just more money for them.
Exactly.
Right.
That means more benefits to enroll people in to get paid from.
Obviously, it's a lot harder than it looks, but people might ask the question, how can they just leave? Why can't they just leave?
Yeah, it's not as simple as that. I mean, we heard from someone coming up in part 2 who stayed in dozens of homes. It's not so simple for them just to leave because they'll get picked up again. And when you're talking about being vulnerable, being addicted to drugs or alcohol, and that behavior keeps going on, you're enabled. It's definitely very hard to leave. In part 2, you'll hear from these people who have stayed in these sober living homes and advocates who are trying to get missing Native Americans back home.
Wow.
Wow.
Justin, thank you.
Justin, thanks.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I was stuck. I was unable to get myself back over, and that was really, really annoying. But I'm back here. We'll take that part off. Good. Yeah, that was super strange. It had me stuck over the tabs and not able to get back to StreamYard. But I should be okay now. But yeah, so I mean, ultimately, like they're definitely focusing and targeting Indigenous, and they've already got enough problems. They've already are being failed, and there's so many holes that they're falling in and falling through, that now they're going to be getting targeted as well. More, I don't like it. I don't. It's really very concerning. What is this? The remembering. I was just looking at some of these other ones that I have. I have a whole Indigenous cases in the information area, and one of them, I should see if there's an update about the Shelton, if any of you are familiar with Shelton family. About what happened with him. And then also one that I wanted to touch on with you guys as well. Actually, some of you might even know her too. Oh, I'm so scared to push this. I'm going to get trapped over on the other side again. Okay. Here is, I'll show you this. Yeah, this might be familiar to some of you. It's always been this way for us. The world is just not in love with Mother Nature as we are. Yeah. I am so sorry that that it is the way that it's been, and the way that it is. Like I am incredibly sorry. It's not okay. It's not okay.
So this is Alyssa when she was a baby, when she was first learning how to walk. Every day I have to get up and pretend I'm happy. This is all of our family.
Tina Russell is a woman haunted.
Do you know what it's like every day to walk around with a broken heart?
Broken, under the weight of a question that's cursed her family for 14 years. What happened to her niece, 21-year-old Alyssa McLemore?
I believe she was taken against her will. I don't know if she was killed.
In April 2009, Alyssa was a single mom, raising a toddler and living with her family in Kent.
Once her mom got sick and she had a baby, it made her grow up.
As she grew up, the 21-year-old became a dancer, active in the nightlife scene. She had been picked up by police in the past, but Tina says Alyssa was always there when you needed her. So when Alyssa got a call on the night of April 9th, 2009, that her mother was dying, she told her family she was on her way home.
But she would always come home, and she didn't come.
To the family's surprise, the next knock at the door wasn't Alyssa, but a Kent police officer. Police had received a frantic 911 call from Alyssa's phone.
On the 911 tape, Alyssa is asking for help.
Police never let Tina listen to the call, but they did provide her with a transcript.
There's somebody in the background telling her to come here. I don't know if they said, I'll hurt you or I'll kill you or something. And then the phone went dead.
Kent Police Detective Brendan Wales took over the case in 2017.
It's not very often that you have the voice of who you potentially believe is the killer unidentified on a recording.
Alyssa's family says it began to dawn on them the real danger she was in. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, more than 4 in 5 Native women experience violence in their lifetime.
It just hurts to know. And this is what I say, Native people fall through the gaps. It doesn't matter what she was doing in her life.
This intersection off Pacific Highway South in Kent is where Alyssa was last seen. Witnesses say she was getting into a green pickup truck with Oregon license plates. Alyssa's BlackBerry phone didn't have GPS, so investigators could never pinpoint exactly where the 911 call originated from or who the male voice on the line belonged to.
A few years later, I did ask to hear the tape, and I was denied that. Now it's a piece of evidence. Or maybe I know this guy's voice. Maybe I could recognize it.
14 years have passed. The family wants to know, why not release this 911 call to the public?
As investigators, we don't want to taint the investigation by releasing that. We will be inundated with assumptions and conclusions and, for lack of a better term, a red herring of who it could be.
The detective told me he doesn't have manpower to take detectives from over here and put them on this old case over here. At that point, I sat and I drew on a board. This is where we're going to search first, and that's what we did.
So if the family makes a sweeping statement like, police haven't been to any of our searches, you say that's not quite the case.
Yeah, that's not, it's just, we're not in a position to say we checked here, we checked here, we checked here, because it's, notifying every place we don't find her. That's disappointing for everybody.
It's just a hard situation to be in.
Soon, hundreds of families like Tina's may be getting a powerful ally. Attorney General Bob Ferguson is championing a legislative effort to create a multi-million-dollar Indigenous cold case unit.
Especially when it comes to missing and murdered Indigenous women and people, we really felt and the task force believed that a specific unit dedicated to this work could help address and solve some of these cases.
And that brings us back to Lake Fenwick Park in Kent. 4 years ago, the family received a tip that Alyssa's remains were in the park.
I will not sleep at night if I got one tip that I did not follow up on. I can't say how deep it is.
While searching, they came across this deep abandoned well on the edge of park property. At the bottom, what looks to be a tarp.
I don't know what's under there, and my mind will always wonder until somebody does investigate it and say, nope, she wasn't there.
Kent police never searched the well or took measures to cover it up as a safety hazard.
We can't even get the city she's missing from to come and even take serious. They've never sent a team out here.
Based on the cell phone records, it's miles away from where even her cell phone would have been, and it just comes down to a time and resource of where it's at.
We pushed Detective Wales and the city to investigate and, at the very least, cover the well.
Like, that's a safety issue. A kid, a dog, anything can go down there.
The day after we spoke to Detective Wells, he and his partner came out to investigate. He confirms the well will be searched and investigated before it is filled.
This is one of my favorite pictures right here. I don't think I've ever shared that picture with anybody.
Meantime, life trudges on in Alyssa's absence. Her daughter is 16 years old and now helps in the search for her mom.
She helped me make flyers. She decides what pictures goes on flyers.
Tina hopes the burden of this horrible mystery doesn't haunt Alyssa's daughter into adulthood.
I don't want another family member in my family to die without answers. I don't want to die myself without answers, and the next generation have to pick up this search.
For Facing Race, I'm PJ Randhawa.
The Attorney General's office has already identified more than 100 cold cases involving Indigenous victims across the state of Washington. The legislation that would create a statewide Indigenous cold case unit is now waiting for a vote on the House floor.
And I believe that's the one, I don't know where I even put that article now, but that's the one, could be this one, that we actually were just talking about. Right here. I found it. I just wanted to see what it said. That expected to be created within the state attorney general's office after the governor signed the legislation into law last month. So it has been signed into law. What's the date on? Oh, I can't get to it, man. Tell you what, I'm gonna take that down because people probably don't know what. Hey, what's up? Some have been revamped with better people, they say, but El Paso, Texas orphanages where major abuse happening still run today. Crazy to see in real life. Prayers for all people. Yeah. Oh yeah. Huh. Yeah, I mean, that was like crazy. And then the fact that they weren't even going to search down in the well. And for them to say, like, the statement that, well, based off of her phone, I was like, hold on a second. Hold on. The phone didn't even have any tracking or anything, so I don't even know why you're bringing that up to begin with. But then they're like, it's a distance away. Okay, well, yeah, from where you believe she was. All right, that's a better answer. So 2 months ago, this one came out that we just watched, and there is another video on her case. But still, 14 years now, to know that her daughter is involved with the searches now, and it's just incredibly sad. But there is another video on her as well, too, talking about her case. But I wanted to at least touch on that one. So yeah, I mean, I like to do streams every now and again and make sure that I'm touching on Indigenous cases and trying to get any awareness out I can. And I always try to make sure that I cover at least a case or two of somebody that's missing or murdered, or one or the other, or both, as well, when I'm talking on the different details and information that's coming out about, anything to do with the missing and the murdered, and alert systems that come out, or anything like that. That detective really put you in a mood. Yeah, that's a piss poor attitude. It's like freaking no, he didn't give a flying hoot. He didn't care. He was even more than not care. He seemed bothered, like irritated by it. And yeah, that is extremely frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. Like, lose your attitude, sir. You it's really very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. People can't put themselves in the shoes of the other, or even attempt to, have no desire or willingness to help. It's a disgrace. It's disappointing. I mean, and in some sense, it's like inhumane, in my opinion. I just simply do not. I just think I don't think it's okay how much Indigenous natives, the land, the people, get overlooked and ignored, and it's like as if they're less than or undeserving of even the basic. I don't know, but it'll put me in a mood too. It's really a huge problem right now. It's been a huge problem, and it still remains. And yeah, anyway, any information that I ever find, and I know that they are needing something signed, or they're needing something passed around in any way that I can be of assistance, I am absolutely more than happy to help out. More than happy. So, I mean, if you guys do ever hear anything that's going on, hey, Patricia, good to see you. Some people work where they don't care about the people, makes their job easier. Yeah. I mean, they want me to do my job is the vibe I got. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like, oh, really? How dare them ask me to do what I'm supposed to be doing? Yeah, irritated with a smile. Right. Yep. Like a little cocky arrogance to him as he's annoyed. Like, I agree with you on that. You really do cover it all. Oh yeah, absolutely. Use training and common sense, right? Willingness to search for his missing person, communication, decent human behavior. Exactly right. Yep. I agree with you on that. Absolutely agree. I'm trying to figure out which one of these I clicked on. Pretty sure I already did this one. So we're going to click on this one, I suppose. Yes. Okay. This is the one. All right. Yeah. So we're at 2 hours now. I'll try not to have us go too long. And then, like I said, I touch on Indigenous every so often to make sure that I keep bringing it up. And I know that others don't cover. And I mean, you can even see like people don't have the interest in Indigenous cases as they do other cases either. And well, I'm not going to stop covering it just because of that. Nope. Sure won't. So, I'll continue to put out anything. And he had a sinister smirk, right? Right. Okay, so this one here, I'll refresh it, but again, this is that same guy. I played him the other day, and I played him earlier today, I believe. Stevio or Stevio, I guess. I don't know. Stand Up. It's the man on TikTok that says like tips from the ER, right? He's an ER doctor, and so he used to do like tips from the ER. No, we don't want to know your whole story, or whatever, right? And he's very funny too. He is very funny, I think. Anyway, apparently he does stand up now, and I didn't know it, but I still think it's funny. So that's who this one is. And then Nicole, thank you so much for riding it out with me. I appreciate you so much. I think you had even maybe said you were tired, so I'm sorry if this is really difficult for you. I'm so sorry, but thank you very much. Ellie, thank you for riding as long as you could. I appreciate it. Hope you're sleeping well if you have dozed off already. But thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for showing support, right? Whether this actually hits close to home because you yourself experience this life, all of this, right? It's your life, it's your experience. Just know that if I could do more, I would, and know that if I could change things, I would. And if I could have prevented things from going the way they did, I would. My heart is very much with Native people, with Indigenous people, it just is. I just have a connection. And so I have a strong piece of my heart that wants to be able to help or do more. And like I said, if I'm able, I will. I'm actually sad that I can't. And I know that there just is so many places that need to be, where to begin, right? There's so many places to begin, but the not doing it anywhere, any of them, is also not acceptable. But it was nice to see you, and nice to meet you, Lady R. I'm not sure if you have come in before or not, but welcome if you haven't. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in. And Red Rock, thank you. You have always, I think you've made it to practically almost all of the streams that I've done when I cover Indigenous cases or topics. So thank you. Thank you. And yeah, for those of you that this doesn't impact your life, but you have the heart for those that it does affect, I thank you. But I hope everybody sleeps well. Everybody have a good night of sleep. Enjoy your day. I'll be back on at some point in time tomorrow. Don't know when, but likely be back on. But everyone have a good night, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. I love you all. Good night.
I am a Libra. I am a Libra. I am a Libra. No, hey, you know what? Like, why do you ask? Because like people get weird about this shit. My mom was a Libra. Your mom was a Libra? Okay. Do we like her? Yeah. Okay. Fuck. I see that in my future too. Do I hang out with Jeannie Weenie? Yes, I do. You guys know who that is? Aww, she's actually here. Jeannie, come out. I'm just kidding. That was mean. That was mean. Your mom's here too. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding! It's a comedy show! It's a fucking comedy show. Shut the fuck up. We're not in the fucking ER anymore. Okay?
Sorry, I meant to warn you about the language.
I am no. Hey, you know what? Like, why do you ask? Because like people get weird about this shit. Your mom was a Libra. Okay. Do we like her? Yeah. Okay. Fuck. I see that in my future too. Do I hang out with Jeannie Weenie? Yes, I do. You guys know who that is? Aww, she's actually here. Jeannie, come out. I'm just kidding. That was mean. That was mean.